the point is that it gets to be whatever you want it to be. And I know for a fact that using your voice is a way to step into that. It's a way to step into your full power, to begin embodying the person you know you were always meant to be. Using your voice, showing up for others, is a very powerful first step. And that is what podcasting can do. This season, I am happy to announce that the Boss Goddess podcast has partnered with Modern Day Wife. Modern Day Wife is a global membership that provides community and resources to the modern woman who is looking to thrive in her career, relationships, home life, and social and personal life, what they call the 360 view. And they also are very known for putting on these amazing, big, bold luxury events. And their next in-person luxury event is in Los Angeles, and I will be there. And it is called Soirée en Blanc, and it's being hosted at the Sofitel Hotel. And you can get your ticket at the link in the show notes if you are in LA, and you can join me there. And if you're not in LA, then check their list of events at themoderndaywife.com to see if there's one near you. And of course, you can join their online global community as well. Just visit themoderndaywife.com. If you are ready to say yes to redefining what is next for you with podcasting, then I want to invite you to get my Activate Your Passion with Podcast Blueprint. Just go to boss-goddess.co/activate. This is your free 5-day guide where each day I'll send you an email with guidance and a downloadable prompt, exercise, or tool that you can take some action with to begin to get clear on how to pursue what lights you up with the power of podcasting, from how to get started with your topic to how to build your own ecosystem that you can monetize later. Let's redefine what comes next for you so you can step into your goddess era. Just go to boss-goddess.co/activate. If you've outgrown your current path, this is your invitation to step out of the hustle and into your purpose and passion. It can be healing, it can be fun, and it can be strategic. This is where you become the boss goddess in your niche and bring your dreams to life. Hi, this is Barcy, your host. Welcome back to the Boss Goddess podcast. So there's a story that I often share when I guest on other podcasts. And it's the one about how this thing called podcasting showed me what I was really capable of in ways that fed my creativity, my self-expression, my confidence, what I believed was possible for me, and so much more. And it came into my life when I desperately needed all of those things. The podcast I created at that time was called Dimension. And it was a science fiction noir drama that I started to ideate originally as a web series back in 2012 because I really just wanted to develop my own characters that I would feel connected to, because at the time I was an actor pursuing a TV and film career, and characters that I connected to were nowhere to be found. But here's how it started. Like I said, I was an out-of-work actor whose dreams were being crushed on a daily basis by the lack of roles that went beyond being the dark-haired so-called hot girl, which definitely was a thing. I'd walk into a casting room and there would be 5 pretty blondes sitting in the waiting room and me. I was their alternative choice because I had brown hair, and having brown hair back then meant getting cast less. And I didn't understand why I was only going out for this hot girl role anyway, because I did not feel like I was that type. It was very confusing to me. I was in my 20s and I was confused about who I was, how I was supposed to feel authentic pursuing this career, because it felt nothing like me. I didn't identify with any of that. And it started to really jeopardize even my performances in my acting class. And eventually I became totally blocked. I would rehearse until I said those lines in my sleep, but then I would get on stage in my class and I would just go blank, which had never happened to me before. And I didn't know what to make of it. So I quit. And it broke my heart. And it took me some time to really contend with that. So I started writing. But this is how it really started. One Monday night, I was bartending, and my regular, his name was Ron Stivers. He was this hipster record shop owner in town that came in like usual every Monday, and we talked, and he shared this time about this creative group that he was friends with that would meet up after hours at his record shop, and they would read audio performances of these narratives and live broadcast them over internet radio. But here's the best part. He told me that he wanted to start broadcasting an original story. Now, if you recall, I was writing an original story. I was writing a web series, which I immediately thought to myself, oh, I could totally just rewrite this for audio only, no problem. So I asked Ron if I could formally pitch him. He said yes. I rewrote the 4 episodes for audio, which proved way harder than I thought it would be. And I cast myself and the narrator for the first episode that we were going to do. And I put this pitch package together and I gave it to Ron over lunch one day. And then I followed up asking if I could perform this story twice a month with rehearsals in between, which meant I'd be there every week. And he said yes. And my life began to change. It meant I had to create a writing schedule for myself, which I did every Wednesday and Thursday at this coffee shop in town called Intelligentsia. And if you live in LA, then you probably know it. And I soon had this little community there who knew what I was working on. And I would see them every week because I was very diligent about showing up. And I cast a few more people. And we were often running and performing the show every month, twice a month, for the next 2 years. We did the whole first year of recordings as a live performance and broadcast it as a live stream, with which the following year I got the files of the first year and distributed it as an actual podcast, and then continued to do so for the second year that we did it. But we did this for a whole 2 years, and I wrote the story very organically each week, just allowing it to evolve with me and with the actors and what we were discovering each time we performed. It wasn't all planned out, is what I'm getting at. I just showed up for my creative process and I got what I got and we did it. And it showed me, it showed me to trust myself and to trust my creative process. It showed me that I could show up for something every week that I loved. It allowed me to let go of my perfectionism because I wasn't trying to pre-plan anything. And through that, it showed me what I was capable of creating on my own. I created my own possibilities through this process. And that whole waiting for permission thing that I had learned prior, I realized it was a total sham. It was a lie. It was a lie that I was told for many years. And I believed it. That you have to wait your turn, that you should stay in your lane, that you need to follow a certain set of rules in order to quote unquote make it. That was all bullshit. And that's when I started breaking the rules and owning who I was and what I wanted to bring to life and how I wanted to bring it to life. And I was showing that to myself and everyone else every single week. And as a woman whose worth was decided by her looks in an industry that told me to, once again, wait my turn, the audio medium leveled that playing ground for me. It gave me an opportunity to take ownership of my experience and level up. No one even needed to know what I looked like. They could just experience the story and the world I was creating. And I did get to perform, which is what I was missing when I was pursuing my career based on how people told me to pursue my career. And that's all I really wanted to do. In the first place, I just wanted to do my craft. And this whole process showed me how to show up, how to move through my own imposter syndrome that used to creep in when I was going into those audition rooms. I never felt like I belonged. But what didn't belong was my compliance, my acceptance that this was all I was worth, and that I would just have to wait. I would just have to keep doing this thing if I wanted to get where I wanted to go. That felt so misaligned to me. That felt like dimming my light. That felt like giving away my power. That sucked all the passion out of the reason I was pursuing an acting career in the first place. And all of that misalignment and giving away of my power, that was what was causing my imposter syndrome. I wasn't at home in my own experience and my expression. And finally, I was experiencing how I wanted it to feel. And I got that through this process of creating that podcast. And the opportunities from that creative expression, from that creative momentum, from all of that passion began to unfold very naturally, very organically. So from there, I also produced a documentary film about following your passion and how I rediscovered mine through this quote unquote new medium called podcasting. Now, this was over a decade ago. So you have to keep that in mind as well. No one knew what podcasting was. I had just learned what it was. I didn't know that that's what I was doing for the first year. And I kind of wasn't because we were live streaming it. But I figured out that this is a whole world. There's a whole world out there where people are playing around with audio storytelling, audio as a medium, audio as a craft. And I just fell in love with the whole process. And I wanted everybody to know about it. And that's why I made the documentary. And really, the heart of the documentary, the purpose behind it, the core message was follow your passion, empower yourself to create on your terms, and all the possibilities will come, because that's what happened for me. And this documentary went on to get nominated for Best Doc that year by a film festival called Film Quest. I'm still friends with them. It premiered at a film festival called Sci-Fi London. And what also started to happen were these film festivals started putting together these special events that were inspired by my film or that were centered around my film because it was such a different story. It was a really unique style. It was a really unique documentary. And they'd never seen anything like it before. And also podcasting was new, but audio storytelling wasn't. So with that, I discovered this whole subculture of people who were longtime audiophiles, longtime audio creators and fans of this style of storytelling. So it opened up a big world for me. And I also got to do a live reading performance with my cast at Film Quest. And I got to have this special audio event panel screening with these longtime audio professionals who'd worked for the BBC or were known in the audio industry in the UK with the screening of my film. And this was when we were in London. And then I met someone at one of those festivals who I told my big vision to, that I wanted to start my own podcast production agency and that I just quit my job days before this festival, my day job. And he believed in what I was saying, and he believed in me so much that he wanted to help me bring this all to life. And he gave me my first client, and I was off and running. And that is how my production agency was born. So all of this led to one thing to the next, to the next, to the next. But now I was starting a whole new venture that I'd never done before. I've never started a business before. I didn't know how to run a production agency. I also didn't know how to be a producer. It's not what I was doing to create my own show. When I was doing Dimension, I was writing the show, creating the show, casting it, directing it, and performing it. But everything else technical came from the team that I inherited by joining this collective. And Ron did the sound design for it, and Rick Potts, who is so talented and amazing. Please look him up. Rick Potts, he's part of a movement, music movement that happened in the 70s. So he's actually very cool. And he did all of my folio design. And I just was so lucky to be able to, they also recorded it for us because they were live streaming it and recording it as we went. So everything about that was just super easy. And I didn't have to think about the technical. The most I had to do technically was to figure out how to distribute it once I wanted to do that as a podcast. So I knew how to do that. And I got some production chops from producing the film, but that was more just sort of organizing some things and didn't really do much technical anything there either, because I had a great DP and a great director who, handled all of that. So here's the thing that gave me my courage to think that I could just learn audio production on my own was for the live event that I did, the live performance at Film Quest. They asked if I could do that, and I was like, sure, but I wasn't going to bring Ron and Rick with me, who were doing all of the music and all of the stuff that we were doing for Dimension. So I had to learn how to sound design. I had to learn how to technically bring the operation with me and do it from the stage, because I had to perform the 3 characters in the show as well while we were on stage. Yeah. So because of that, because I learned it very, very, very fast, I put that together in about 2 weeks and figured out how to do it from stage and just figured it all out very, very fast. And I was like, well, if I can do that, then I think I can take some time to learn how to do this properly. And if I can do that in 2 weeks, then I'm sure I can do more. And that is what gave me the confidence to go for it, because I proved to myself that I can show up. I can do it. I can learn it. But okay, so here we are, off and running. Now I'm a freelance producer at this time, no agency yet. It's just me, trying to get clients and trying to produce all of the shows that were coming my way. So the imposter syndrome crept way back into my life again, because I was doing all of these new things and I was in this new arena. But this time it wasn't because I was out of alignment, but it was because I wasn't totally embracing my power and focusing on what I bring to the table. I was very worried that I was doing it wrong. Ever felt that way? That's why I'm sharing this with you, because so many of us don't do what we want in life because we're afraid of that. We're afraid we might be doing it wrong. We're afraid what others might think of us. We're afraid that we're being too audacious, or we're doing things where we don't, we haven't earned it yet. We're afraid that we're not good enough. We're afraid that we're not at the same caliber at the other people in the room who are doing, or whatever it may be. But the truth is that when we want something, it already belongs to us. I really want you to hear that. When you want something, when you really want something, when it's really connected to who you are and your passion, and you feel all of that surge energy that comes with wanting to do something, it's already yours. It already belongs to you, and it becomes your responsibility to take the next steps. It becomes your responsibility to show up for it. That is what we call the muse. The muse is calling you. That's kind of what that means. So the next step is the showing up and proving to yourself that you do belong. You do belong here. You're just at the early part of the journey, which everyone has to start at the early part of the journey. Everyone has to start at the beginning. And sometimes that means creating something really different than the options you've been given, meaning whatever's already out there, you may want to do it a little bit differently. And that people don't always like. But that is your uniqueness. That can be what grounds you. That can be what empowers you. That can be your blue ocean, as some might say. And when we're being fully ourselves, when we're looking at things in a new way, when we're bringing something new to the table, and when we're thinking outside of the box and we're entering a new arena with a new rule book or a new way of doing something and rejecting maybe parts of their rule book, sometimes imposter syndrome comes in because people will try to push you out. And that's just the truth. But if we don't focus on them and we just focus on what we're creating, that is where we can stay in our magic. So on the other hand, sometimes stepping into your uniqueness is the exact thing that might trigger the imposter syndrome. But let's break that down for just a moment a little bit more. So one of the key things that can trigger imposter syndrome, that experience, is comparison, comparing ourselves to others, because that's what imposter syndrome is. It's us looking at other people and comparing ourselves to them. So think about that part of my story for a moment where I felt very much like the odd one out when I would walk into an audition waiting room and see nothing but blondes who don't look like me, making me the one that's standing out, making me the different one. So I was very distracted by that fact, back then, and I felt very out of place, like I didn't belong there, like I didn't deserve to be there, and I wasn't worthy of getting the role. So my focus was on comparing myself to the other people in the room rather than on the uniqueness that I brought to the equation and the uniqueness that I could bring to the role I was there to audition for. So my focus was on everybody else and not on what I was there to do. So alternatively, I could have focused on how empowering it was to be the only one like me, and that they picked me to be the different one, to be the unique one that they were going to bring into the room. But I just didn't see it that way yet. But this was an edge that I had to prove to myself as valuable. And that was the adventure that I was on with creating my science fiction podcast, Dimension, and then the documentary, which, by the way, is called Is Anyone Listening? And then the business and the agency and all of these things. I just keep doing that as much as I can. I don't always do it well. I don't always remember to do it. Oftentimes, imposter syndrome creeps in anyway, but I have to remind myself of this exact thing, that if I'm leaning into the imposter syndrome feeling, or I'm allowing that to be the thing keeping me from doing something, I've got to remember that that means I'm just focused on the wrong thing. I'm focused on what other people are doing or saying, and that is not going to help me or anyone. It's not going to help me serve the people I need to serve, including myself. And I'll be honest with you, the truth is that when I made my film, I got a lot of shit from one film festival director in particular, because he told me it was the wrong length, and that, whatever else he said that made it hard to program, that the film was hard to program, that I shouldn't have made it that way, and all of these things. But the bottom line is that he did program it. And not only that, he created a whole special event around it. So I started to understand that that had nothing to do with me, and that everyone has their own version of comparison and imposter syndrome, and it just isn't the reason to not do something. And I strongly believe that if it just like thinking about that story, if we tried to follow the rules when making that film, it probably wouldn't have been received as uniquely as it was, and it wouldn't have been as special of an experience, and it wouldn't have opened as many doors as it did. So if you're thinking of pursuing something that feels really different than anything you've done before, or if something you're doing now is causing you to feel out of your alignment, not in your true power, it might be worth asking a few questions like these. What if I trusted that what I bring to the experience is unique and valuable? Is there more I want to be able to create that this situation doesn't allow for? If I could fully express myself and say what is on my heart, what would I do? What would I create? And if you're about to be in a situation where you feel like you deserve to be there, but you expect to experience some imposter syndrome, here are some grounding words you can take with you. I deserve to be here. I am on my own journey and path. I have unique gifts. And this next one, I want you to fill in the blanks. I bring blank and blank when I show up in my power. I bring blank and blank when I show up in my power. So this season of the podcast, we're going to talk a lot about activation, what it takes to trust and activate from our passion, from a purpose, from that bold and unique part of you that only you have, because only you have those lived experiences. Only you have your story, and only you have the ideas that will be expressed the way only you can express them. This is the magic. This is why you don't have to worry about what everyone else is doing. So we have some really exciting powerhouse women coming on the show this season who have started businesses from their passions, from lifestyle brands to beauty to wellness, to something a little bit different than what we've experienced on this show before. And we're also going to be talking a lot about how to leverage podcasting as your first step to activating your passion. As you know, it's something I'm super passionate about. I just shared all about that origin story with you today. But what I also get to witness again and again through my clients and my own experience is truly how powerful it is to bring a dream to life, to bring a life goal to fruition. I've helped my clients go from literally no platform to achieving their life goal of, let's say, becoming a best-selling author. That really happened with the podcast as their main vehicle to reaching that goal. I've watched brand new businesses create an ecosystem of credibility and attract these high caliber people to their network that they would not be able to get into a room with in any other way from the podcast we created. It all comes back to what your unique desire is. And that's going to be different for you than it was for the ones I just, demonstrated. For me, it was, creating an audio drama first. That was my big passion. Really different than probably most people who want to start a podcast these days. But maybe not, The point is that it gets to be whatever you want it to be. And I know for a fact that using your voice is a way to step into that. It's a way to step into your full power, to begin embodying the person you were always meant to be. Using your voice, showing up for others, is a very powerful first step. And that is what podcasting can do. So you can expect to hear more about how to activate your passion in the coming episodes and step into what I'm calling your goddess era. So I'm really excited to share these stories and tools with you this season. Till next time. Thank you so much for listening to the Boss Goddess podcast. I hope you enjoyed this episode. And if you're inspired and ready to take action on bringing your passion to life with podcasting, then be sure to get my free Activate Your Passion with Podcasting blueprint at boss-goddess.co/activate to get started. That link is also in the show notes, but here it is again, boss-goddess.co/activate. And I'll see you on the inside.